And on today's episode of Infestations of Progs, we have Rambler. He goes by something unintelligible, unspeakable in Discord. But this is his soup. It is a 3-island tournament, and this right here is the old guy, Alfred. He is 3,100 seconds old, almost an hour. Not quite. Alfred lives in the northwest island of the 3-island soup. Let's find out a little bit more about Alfred. Alfred's not very big, kind of a medium-sized bibbit. He's got a fairly average speed ratio as well. He's got a very long brood time and a very long hatch time. These eggs don't come out quick. View angle of 135, so he can see quite far around him, which is kind of surprising given that he lives in the tiny pellet soup. View radius is 69. Nice. However, that means it's very small. He can only see like this far. It's not very far at all. Definitely an herbivore. Not going to go over this. Growth maturity factor. That must mean that this thing grows fast. But we're not going to get to see that right now. There aren't... Wow. Okay. So, constant into digestion, fullness into digestion. So, the more full, the more digestion. Interesting. Accelerate is at a constant with a slight negative with plant closeness, which makes sense. These are guys very simple indeed. This is interesting. I think I've already covered this. But the faster he goes, the harder he just hooks a left, right? So they're always going to be going in a leftwardly direction, except for the occasion when there's a larger supply of food on the right. So that's Alfred. Alfred's a simple creature. This is the Southwest soup, I'm assuming, because 14 #1M lives down here. It looks like the progs have already decided that this is their happy place. I only spawned 10 progs in, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4 at least. So, about a third of their population that I see is down here, and they are laying eggs. Was ist this? This is a neutered Alfred. I'm guessing this guy can't make babies. It is very different from the Alfred up top. There's a lot of brain nodes going on in here. But that doesn't matter because it's dead now. So back to these guys. Very simple brain. A little larger, a little slower. Can see just a little bit further, but has a narrower vision compared to the up top Alfred. What else can we say about this guy? Also has a very, very low growth maturity factor, which tells me he grows fast. Alright, who's next? 5-1 AC. This is the East Island. Notice that there is a prog here. It is a fairly large prog. It has laid an egg, so there's going to be more progs here. This guy looks like he has high defense. He has 24 defense and 23 strength. This guy has the potential to be a great brawler or a bumper car. Size is smaller, speed is faster, tiny growth maturity factor. What else do we have? Very, very wide view angle. I can see all sorts of things, almost 180 degrees, but has a very, very tiny view radius. Can barely see in front of his face. And no brain. There are no hidden nodes whatsoever. So egg is on. Turn is directly associated with the plant angle. So the only reason to turn is, hey, I see a plant and I want to eat it. Stomach is on. Just always be consuming. Always be growing. Don't grab things. Don't heal? I guess that's if you're infected. So this doesn't really do anything. But that's fine. So yeah, there's a lot of not very complex brains in this soup. Not very complex brains at all. Which is... How old are these guys? 242 generations. These are babies. These are little tiny babies with not a lot of experience. That's fine. What's the prog doing? get this guy down over here, laying an egg out in the oblivion, which is not what you're supposed to do. But I'm sure you have a good reason. It's gonna go eat this guy. So I'm assuming that this is just a nomad. Easy to eat. It looks like in this particular soup, meat or pellets combine with each other. Can you survive? You do. The prog survives whatever these Archis, which is a little shocking because they do have very high strength and defense. That being said, the prog did take a strong hit from that little encounter. So what are we spawning in here? We have just the prog painters. That is all. So the neutered Alfred, we still have 2 of them floating around. And I think these guys are just scavengers. I have another question about plant material. Okay, so plants are toxic to predators. Good, good. The decay is base, so nothing changed there. I think this is probably the more interesting soup happening right now. It's friendlier towards predators because these big plants leave a lot of space in between, so progs don't have to swim through quite as many plants to get anything done. Are there any progs up here with the Alfred E's? There is an prog. Look at you, little champion. Pardon my silence, I had to sneeze. So, he's just swimming around, looking for little pieces of meat. Probably going to go for this meat instead of the Alfred. Maybe the Alfred dies. The Alfred starved to death. Easy meal for a prog. Are you going to get big enough to lay an egg? Probably. That's a fairly sizable meat chunk. You know what I didn't do? I didn't look at the populations beforehand. I have no idea how many there's supposed to be in each particular area. How can I even know? Wait a second. I can't see pheromones at all. I lied. I lied. Curious. Anyways, prog laid babies. There's more progs now. Alfred's gonna have a problem. Maybe not. Sometimes progs are dumb. But, you know, the Alfreds. Oh, there's a second one up here. What's happening here? Well. Rip. So he can't really decide whether he wants to eat the meat or this thing. He made a mistake. Okay, that's fine. What is even this? This is a waffle template. It is generation 0. It has egg turned off. This is a neutered creature. It is the only one of its kind. Okay, so Alfreds are at 21. 14 1Ms are at 35. They're doing all right. And these guys are at 45. These guys look very similar indeed. And we have 13 progs currently. And I see one down here. One off over here in Oblivion. A bigger one down here. 2 of them, 3 of them. This is a good place for progs because there's plenty of meat over here. Progs like meat. Unfortunately, they're going to spend all of their time down here turning this meat into baby progs and not eating these guys. There's plenty of meat in this area. I wonder if... Are these guys starving at all? I would assume not. They're not particularly intelligent, so they're not hunting. Or they're just bumping into each other. It's all decaying, though. My question is, how did the meat get here, right? Because these guys seem like they have life made, right? If I look at them, they're going to have a belly full of snacks. So they're not starving. Even slightly. Oh, they also have really long eggs. But happy place for a prog. Happy place for a prog indeed. Progs are not breeding, so they're still being spawned in, which isn't really surprising. I've been struggling with getting this particular version of progs to stabilize. This guy is still doing all right. There's not a lot of progs up here, so it makes sense. They're doing all right. They're trying to pick off all of these individual pieces of meat, and they're also extremely attracted to the blue pheromone. So progs have their own agenda, and it's not murder everything, right? Because murder everything is actually a really bad strategy for a predator. So we got 3 progs on site here. It doesn't seem like the progs are really causing too much damage to the biomes themselves. They would if there were more. Kill that one. Shoot the pellet. There's plenty of meat in the area. And the question that I have to ask is, what is killing all of the progs? That's what's killing all of the progs. It's that high offense stat. And over here, we don't have really big plants. There's only a few of them, right? And these big plants is what fills these guys' mouths and makes it easier for progs to kill them. And I think we only have one prog in this area again. Where's all the progs? There's a prog. We're not interested in that one. Well, there's still stuff going on over here. They're fighting over the last piece of food and one survivor. And it's a baby. Good for you, champion. Nothing. Nothing. We have pretty much no, what do you call it? Herbivore activity here in the big center. So there's not any migration that's happening. Honestly, I think these guys, if they had a belly full, could very easily make the jump from one of these islands to the next. They're just simply not leaving the island. And they're going to be leaving the island less now that progs are in the soup, because progs are much more effective at killing herbivores that are in the big soupy area, which is not there. We have a lot of slow, very dense Bibites. What's happening with the Alfreds? Oh, 2 progs, 3 progs, 4 progs, at least. So most of our population's up here right now. Alfred is still at about 25, 27, so really no damage to population here. This prog is... What's up with you? Low health, you're going to get that meat eventually, I promise. Unless you die. One of the things that I changed in these progs that I haven't been able to stabilize through evolution yet is that I modified their bibit angle to have a weight of 40, which is right up there with their meat angle at 44. So they have a little bit of trouble deciding which one they want. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, because oftentimes progs are fighting other progs for meat. And if they see meat and another bibit at the same time, it's very possible that they'll get eaten by a prog by going for that meat. Everything has maxed out strength, which means progs will not, by and large, not be winning these little kiss fights. Everything, man. I think they killed all the progs in the area. Nope, there's 2 of them down here. Dancing around a single piece of meat and what's left of some pheromone. Alright. Alfred's actually up to 30. This guy's getting pretty chunky. Look at this one. He's at a size ratio of 1.96. So if a prog ate this one, it would be a good meal. But even when they're getting quite large like this, there's plenty of food coming in to fill up the energy. But they digest it fast enough that they can't actually fill their stomach. 365 egg. So this one's going to be laying some serious eggs. Maybe. It actually might be close to death. Because it has to constantly be eating in order to really sustain itself. It can't preserve energy very well. It doesn't have too high of a metabolism. It's only 0.65. A lot of that energy was going to healing. Makes sense. Still going. We're going to get another egg out of him. Eventually. That's a really long egg timer overall. We're looking at over 100 seconds between eggs, minimum. Alright, so right now he's just wasting food for a brief moment until the egg is laid. Huh, interesting. Nah, well, we got a prog eating this guy up here. Like I said, anything that comes out here, progs are more likely to eat. And there's a number of factors for that, right? There's fewer chunks of meat out here. Inside the center, it's a prog buffet, as long as they don't, die trying to get it. Now, see here, we have a little prog dance of 2 progs trying to figure out whether they can go for the meat or not. And unfortunately, one of them's probably going to starve to death, so I'm going to have to modify that network just a little bit. I don't like this behavior. Write that down later. So we do have the potential for migration here, right? 141M, he's running out of energy. But this is, if we made a circle, about half the distance that he'd have to travel, a little over half, to get to the next island. They're not capable yet, probably, but they have the potential. This one, well, let's see what happens here. What do we have? Nope, you're dead. You're not even going to get eaten by a prog, you're just dead. Alfred is down to 20. We have a large prog off in the north. No, we don't. We don't at all. We have a tiny prog up in the northeast of this northwest island, doing exactly what progs are expected to do in this circumstances. I think a lot of this meat is just these guys fighting each other. They're spilling a lot of blood, and unfortunately everything else that was being spawned in is already dead, so we don't have natural scavengers. Progs are the only scavengers right now. And what is with this southeast corner of this thing? There's always a prog down here. Yes, bite the tail. Yep, it's good times. plenty of meat for making a couple baby progs. Probably get 3 or 4 out of this one. But we're at 20 minutes, and I don't know if this is going to go much further. I think we are starting to get some prog hunting done, which is nice to see. But let's be honest, the progs are not going to cause much hazard. Not in a way that's going to kill these things. The only thing that progs, I think, are going to do in this map is prevent migration. So they would add biodiversity in that sense, because you would have very distinct bloodlines happening on each separate island. I would very much like to see something other than bumper cars, though, for survival, because all 3 of these, they're banking extremely hard on strength and defense, and just being able to tank the 1 or 2 hits that happen and now and then without actually having to respond to anything. But that's enough for now. We're 21 minutes in. That's what progs do. Y'all have a good night.